Welcome back to the 2023 Masters Championship podcast. I'm Daniel Wilson. Well, we got a lot to go through today, so let's go into today's schedule for Friday. Bermuda's going to have a tough day ahead of them as they're going to have to face two powerhouses, starting with Slovakia at 9:30. They will face Saskatchewan later on at 17:50. Meanwhile, Great Britain will take on Canada at 11:10. Women's USA will take on Canada as well at 12:50. Over at Arena 2, Saskatchewan will take on Haiti at 10 o'clock. Greece will take on Great Britain at 17:30. Portugal will take on the United States back on Arena 1 at 14:30. Slovakia will play again against Italy at 16:10. Bermuda, as we mentioned, will be taking on Saskatchewan again at 17:50. And Women's USA against Great Britain at 19:30. Before we recap yesterday's games, we need to make a correction. Yesterday, we showed you this video in the Italy-Bermuda game where we incorrectly said that a goal was overturned because of an offside call. We have since found out that it was because of a timing issue. The timer did not start, and the refs saw that the clock would have run out had that clock started properly. So that was the actual reason for the goal being overturned and thus going into the shootout. We apologize for the error in our reporting. As we get into the last day of group play, we're going to have a clear picture as to where every team's going to stand. And by the end of today, two teams will be out of the running for the playoffs, and one of them has already been settled. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But first, let's go into our first game from yesterday, which was United States up against Greece. And we expected it to be an intense game, and it did not disappoint. The Americans end up winning this one 4-3. Bobby Hauser with a goal. Rob Basile scores a goal, and Andrew Hildreth scoring 2. Denny Schlegel getting his first Masters points on the board with 2 assists. On Greece's side, Carl Gingras again building on his total with another goal. Despite the 4-3 score, Greece did control the play for most of this game. They did go 2 for 6 on the power play, which was a problem for the Open team last year at the World Championships. USA only had 11 shots on net, so this is more of a testament to how well their defense had played. Kyrick Davis had faced 32 shots, had stopped 29. Now, with Greece, even though they lost this game, they still have a chance to make it to the playoffs. And if Portugal loses their game tomorrow, then Greece will advance to the next round. Speaking of Portugal, despite the record that they currently have, they bring a very strong team, and they really took it to the Canadians. They did fall up short this time, but they sure made it much closer than anyone would have expected it to be. Canada wins this game 3-2 over Portugal. The goals coming from Oliver Lavasseur, Sean Fair, and Yannick Tifu. Ricardo Perez once again impressing as he adds 2 more goals to his total and brings his total points to 9. The next game of the day was Haiti up against Italy, and for Haiti's first time in the Masters, this was not the way that they wanted it to go as they get shut out against Italy, who did not have their same powerhouse as last year, but did have a very good showing this time around with all goals scored by different players. Chris Sebastian, Jonathan Pulisicio, Johnny Russo, Paul Palermo, Robert Marini, and Adriano Faccioni. With this win, it does mean that Italy is guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. It's just now a matter of where they're going to be seated. And right now, they currently sit at the number 2 spot. But whether they're going to be at number 1 right now, that looks like a very long shot, considering that right now Saskatchewan is holding that spot with 2 games in hand. Saskatchewan, in the meantime, in a matchup with the defending champion Slovakia, and boy, did these teams not like each other. A total 45 penalty minutes accumulated. They were just racking it up, and it got intense at times. Saskatchewan did get the win 4-2 with the goals from Justin Jontraba and Brock Harrison. Michael Bugg does get his first 2 Masters goals, so congratulations to him. On the Slovakian side, a lot of questions as Slavomir Javorka does score a goal for the team, but in the third period, he got involved in an altercation. He got entangled up with a Canadian player, and in the ensuing entanglement, he ended up stomping on the player as he was getting up, and the refs had called a game misconduct against him, so he was out for the rest of the game. They did have a word with him after the game, and the tournament director has said that he is now on a probationary period. He will be allowed to continue on, but the tournament has a close eye on him, so he cannot get himself into any more trouble. As I just mentioned, Saskatchewan does have 2 games in hand, and if they do win one of those games tomorrow, they will claim the number 1 seed of Group B. And Canada already looking good on Group A, the main Canada team, and that thought was solidified yesterday by Canada as they took down Greece 3-1. Yannick Tifu now has scored a goal in all 3 of Canada's games. One I was not looking at, but he has been consistent throughout this tournament. Giuseppe D'Amico scores his first goal of this tournament. As we continue to see that scoring depth off of Canada, it just seems to be a different player every single day. And with this win, Canada does claim the number 1 seed for Group A, so they will be guaranteed that spot. One of the stories out of the United States was the acquisition of Danny Schlegel. We are looking forward to him scoring a lot of goals and putting a lot of offensive strength to the team. And today he's done just that. He scores his first Masters goal, and on top of that, scores 2 assists. So he has now brought his total up to 5 points. Along with them, Bobby Hauser, John Stewart, Ryan Castor, Jake Berube, and Michael Haynes also score the goals for the United States as they take down Great Britain 6-0. Last year's points leader for the team, Jason White-Knight, he gets on the board with 2 assists. The Americans had outshot the British 42-6, and that was a one-sided matchup. Now, Great Britain is not out of it yet. They still have a chance to make it to the playoffs. They still have 2 games. Now, one of those games is against Canada, and their odds in that game are not looking great. Now, the best case scenario for them would be to win both their games, but since it's not a really realistic scenario for Great Britain, the only real way that they have to get in is by 1, beating Greece in their second game of the day, but they also have to cheer on Portugal to win their game against the United States. Because if we end up getting a 3-way tie at the bottom, Great Britain is going to be losing the tiebreaker, so they would be out. So everything needs to fall into place for Great Britain to go into playoffs. And by the way, take a look at this photo from after the game, the handshake for players of the game. Always great to see both of them being great sports, especially Great Britain, even though they lost 6-0. And that's what we love to see, great sportsmanship out of all these teams. Thanks to Terry Milby for giving us that photo. Take a look at some of these shots that we took during the Haiti-Bermuda game. Haiti finally scores a goal in this tournament thanks to Thierry Dorneval. So that is the first ever Masters goal for Haiti. Unfortunately for them, it is going to be the only thing they're going to be celebrating. They did lose the game 7-1 against Bermuda, and with that loss, Haiti is officially out of the running for the playoffs. They will be in the consolation game on Saturday, no matter what happens, as it's now impossible to get out of that number 5 spot. Bermuda, meanwhile, John Michael Tremblay scores 2 goals in his game. You also got a goal and 2 assists from Christopher Hans Jackson. And of course, we continue to watch Etsy scoring 4 assists in this game. It continues to be a playmaker and one that's really going to be helping Bermuda. Over to the women's division, we had United States go up against Great Britain, and this game ended up being much closer than any of us would have expected. United States does end up getting the win 3-2. I wouldn't have put my bet that it was going to be a 1-goal game, but Great Britain made this one a game. Becky Castor-Wood with one of the goals for Great Britain, Kate Bateman with the other one. On the other side, Michelle Cook, Lauren Bracco, and Michelle Fairheller with the goals for the United States. And the chances of these 2 teams meeting in the playoffs are looking very likely, as Canada does have 1 more game to play, and it is very certain that they will get the number 1 seed, which will mean they will get the day off on Saturday and will automatically go to the championship final. Great Britain did play again up against Canada, and things did not go any better for them as they lost 8-0, and they only got 2 shots on net. Meanwhile, on Canada's side, again, a team that just continues to get stronger. Depth scoring has been a big key to this team. Not a single player down that list has more than 1 goal in the game. Colleen Manty, Shelly Cockrell, Chantal Frichet, Ashley Burrell, Jessica Jones, Colleen McQuaid, Melanie Frischer, and Cody Mackey. All of them getting a point. It just doesn't matter what line they have. Canada is going to find a way to score, and there is no doubt in my mind that they are going to be a very tough team to beat. So for me, it doesn't really matter who's going to end up in the final. They're going to have a very tough game up against this team. So that's going to do it for me for today. Thank you for joining me and enjoy today's games, and we'll find out where everyone is going to place in the tournament on Saturday. I'm Daniel Wilson. We'll see you next time.